Hi guys, let's talk about 5 traits of toxic people. Thought I'd choose that green there because, because oftentimes, toxic people are quite sick. And I thought that the green would represent that. But one of the things that's a little bit deceptive about toxic people is that sometimes toxic people are attractive and charming, nice. You may be drawn to them initially. You might date them, even marry them, or go into a business with them. I'm Pastor Kerry, and we're going to be talking here today about these 5 traits of toxic people. And so let's go ahead and we'll jump into our presentation. 5 traits of toxic people. This is all part of our beyondbetrayal.org group. It's a private group on Facebook. You can find us there at beyondbetrayal.org. And we also broadcast to our YouTube channel, New Destiny Coaching on YouTube. So the 5 traits of toxic people, let's discover what some of these are. One is constant criticism. Toxic people frequently put you down, whether in private or in public. And by the way, that whole thing about being put down in private or in public can, particularly in public, can be extremely annoying. And it's one of those things that we need to deal with and make sure that we can talk to our loved ones or our friends about that in a way that we can get good results. But it's not just this constant criticism, but frequent criticism leaves you feeling judged or inadequate, leading to a breakdown of trust in the relationship. When you feel attacked, you may respond defensively. And I know that's one of those things that in my life I got to work on, is that oftentimes when I'm criticized, and not so much in other contexts, but certainly in my relationship, is that it's easy for me to be defensive, and that it's not a positive trait. But it certainly is one of those things that is triggering for me. And one thing about defensiveness can escalate conflicts rather than resolve them. So that's just one of the 5 traits of toxic people. Another trait of toxic people is that they have a lack of empathy, that they're thoroughly kind of connected with their own world, but they don't seem to care about your feelings or struggles of others, and that your feelings are the feelings of others. Without empathy, partners often struggle to understand each other's feelings and perspectives, leading to miscommunication and greater conflict. And that's one of the reasons why it's important for us to spend a little bit of time before we get married. Or, nowadays people move in, and as soon as they kind of like each other, they move in. But that just complicates things. That's another topic for another day. But we need to spend some time really getting acquainted with the character of the person that we're involved with. And one of the big problems that we see here is a lack of empathy. It's one of the traits of a toxic person. Another trait of a toxic person is manipulative behavior. Toxic people use guilt, lies, or other tactics to control you. Manipulation undermines trust, making partners feel uncertain about each other's intentions and honesty. Manipulation fosters deep-seated resentment and anger, which can damage a relationship over time. I know for me that manipulation And thankfully, that's not an issue in my relationship. But I know for me that manipulation is a big red flag. And when I feel manipulated, is I'm going to step back from that relationship. And I've seen this so many times, not just in romantic relationships, but also in employment relationships, and also, unfortunately, even within the church. We're talking here today about 5 traits of toxic people. And one of the big problems that we find is that oftentimes they're given to manipulation. Toxic people are also unreliable or undependable. They often break promises or fail to follow through on commitments. Constantly having to deal with unreliable behavior can lead you to frustration, which strains the relationship and creates conflicts, as well as leaving you feel devalued. When you trust somebody who isn't trustworthy, when you're depending on somebody who isn't dependable, that's going to, and they don't follow through with the promises, that they make to you, well, then you're going to feel devalued as a result of that. And so I love what Jesus says about this. He says, let your yes be yes and your no, no. Anything else? He says, anything beyond that is from the evil one. So there needs to be congruity. When we say yes, we mean yes. And when we say no, when we mean no. And, that oftentimes shows up in, particularly, I think sometimes unreliable people are people who don't want to disappoint others. And so when you ask them to do something, that they'll say yes when they really mean no. And so if you struggle with dependability yourself, it's important for you to begin to grow in your ability to say no when you really don't want to do something. So these are some of the 5 traits that we're looking at here today of toxic people. And another trait of a toxic person is that they are controlling in nature, and they want to control you in various aspects of your life, including who you see and what you do. Now, this is a little bit, nuanced, because obviously, if you are involved in relationships that don't breed security within your partner, and they ask you not to be involved with those, well, then you're going to have to rethink those. However, sometimes when they ask you not to be involved in those relationships, they're just simply being controlling. And so that's why sometimes it's really helpful to have a coach or a counselor in your life who can help guide you through that process of understanding, is this truly an issue that I need to attend to? Is their request truly an issue that I need to attend to? Or is this just really an effort to control me? So being controlled can cause feelings of anxiety, frustration, and helplessness in the partner who is being managed and impacting their overall well-being. I would encourage you in all of your relationships, not just your romantic ones, but in all of your relationships. And that would also include that if you're a person of faith and you go to a church, is to make sure that you're seeking healthy relationships in all of those relationships in that faith community. Now, particularly with respect to the leaders, because when people come into a faith community, they're going to be at all different levels of spiritual growth and development. But certainly the leaders in that community need to be modeling healthy relationships. And too many times I've seen that that's just not the case. You can learn more about healthy relationships in our beyondbetrayal.org private Facebook group, or at our on our YouTube channel at New Destiny Coaching. But I wanted to share with you today those five relationships, five traits of toxic people. Which one of the ones that I mentioned today particularly resonated with you, as far as an area in your life that you need to maybe be alert to when it comes to a toxic person? And also, I'd be interested in hearing from you any additional traits or characteristics that you would like to add to the list, because these five are not the only five when it comes to toxic people. But it is helpful and it is important for us to begin to grow in our ability to recognize toxic people so that we can make wise decisions about our involvement with them. And so that's really it for now. I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.